Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming. My name is Dan Boron. I'm the community planner for the city of Springboro, and I'm here representing our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Before we introduce the speaker tonight, just want to go over some thank yous, housekeeping, and more. First, I want to say thank you for our partners at the library, Springboro Public Library. We've been putting this on for many years. Thank you, Nan Allen, my counterpart at the Springboro Community Library. We'll be doing this again next year. Some of our programming will be there. Some of it will be here at city facilities. Also, thank you for Maureen taking pictures, setting this all up, getting all of our programming going, and Carl and Jason in the back there for all your work. Just so you know, leading into our housekeeping, if you have a phone, please put it on silent because we do have the thing being recorded right on cue. So our event is being recorded tonight for broadcast on the city website, Facebook, and other channels. So look for it then. A couple weeks it should be available, so please turn off your phone. Restrooms, I think you all know where those are. And other information. This is our last speaker series. Thank you for some of them. I've seen a couple of you at other ones. Now we're moving into our spring, summer, fall bike ride season. So if you have a chance, take a look at our table out in the back. We'll have all of our rides. We're doing 8 rides this year, including Bike the Borough, which I know you've all been to. I know Mike has a bunch of material out there, so is Maureen and ourselves. For the bike riders in the house, we do have slightly used tubes. They're not really used, but they've been in our vending machine, if you haven't seen it, in South Main Street. So we will be giving those out. The packaging is getting a little wonky, so we're giving these out for free. They'll be all sizes available for free. You have to take them as they go. Enough of that. I'm here to introduce Mike Bisig, who is the owner of Mike's Bike Park. Also, he has a shop, it's in Huber Heights. I almost did it. And among other many, many things, entrepreneur, community leader, musician, educator. I'm not going to talk very much more because I don't want to get in the way of his talk, but I want to thank Mike for coming to talk about his journey and his shops and his music and more. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks. Excellent. How's everybody doing tonight? Great. Yes. All right. Well, I'm Mike. I want to thank Dan for inviting me. We sort of set this up a few months ago. I've had a great time hanging out with him at Bike the Borough a few times. So I always enjoy coming out and telling my story to audiences because I think it's an interesting story. And I know we've got some friends in the house, but even people that know me might not really know, what I do 100% or how we got to, I have this crazy thing called Mike's Bike Park, right, where we ride inside. So tonight's going to be a great night. I do not mind being on the stage at all. I'm a very interactive person, so there obviously will be questions at the end. But if I'm talking about something and you have questions or anything, just raise your hand, let me know. You know what I mean? I'm here to. I like it when it's interactive and fun. That's kind of, we could spend an hour or so together, so we might as well have a great time together, right, on that. So I guess the first thing that I like to point out is that's me. In case you didn't know, I'm Mike. I'm right there. So I don't know if all the way in Springboro, if people know who I am or what I do. It's great to come out and sort of speak to the cycling community. I do a whole bunch of things, and so I get to go out and do the music thing, or I'm going to, maybe I go do something else. But it's cool to get to the bike community together because you guys are the ones that we'll talk about this. I think there's a whole bunch of people in the bike community that want to do good pretty much all the time. They have a positive outlook. They want things to happen, and it's all about overcoming those hurdles and how do we, I can see point A and I can see point B, but there's a mountain between those two. How do I get around it, through it, over it, whatever, right? So a lot of times in the biking community, we run into that. So tonight I'll just tell you a little bit about my story, right? And just how I came to be what I am and what I'm currently doing. I'm pretty old. I'm older than dirt. I know I look like I'm 25, but I'm not. So I've led a kind of interesting life, and we'll go through a few of those things on here. So I have done a whole bunch of things in my world, and these are 2 pictures that kind of are a little bit wild, right? And my life, is involved in a bunch of things, but I think it all boils down to, I started when I was like 12 years old playing the saxophone in band. And I know that that's not a bike thing. I get that, it's not a bike thing, but I'm gonna relate those, or bring those all together here in a little bit. When I started playing saxophone when I was 12, it was the first, I had played soccer, I'd been on some sports teams, I'd done that type of thing, but band was like the first thing that I ever did where it was okay to not be perfect all the time, and I had to work with a whole bunch of other people towards a common goal, and we all had to get better each day. I don't know if have you guys been in band? How many people were in band, by the way? We have a lot of clarinet players in here, probably. That's right. Were you a clarinet player? Okay. Well, clarinet, that's awesome. I play clarinet too, by the way. It's awesome. So when I was in band, I started when I was 12, and I started playing the saxophone. And very soon after I started playing the saxophone, I saw some of my friends playing the guitar at a talent show or something wild like that, and I said, you know what, I want to learn how to play the guitar too. So since I was 12, and I'm coming up on that silver dollar soon, right? So we're coming up there. I've pretty much played music. That's kind of been my thing. I've not always been a cyclist, so that I sort of come at this with a slightly different angle. But I think being a musician taught me so many life lessons, so many, I don't know, it just affected me in every way that it's important for my story to begin there, not on a bike. Did I ride a bike when I was a kid? Absolutely. It was freedom when I was younger. I got on my bike, I would ride it across town. We would tell our parents we were just hanging out in the neighborhood. Really, we were 10 miles away. We were doing a whole bunch of things. I don't know if you guys ever did that when you were younger, but that's what we did. I remember my brother borrowed this bike of mine and just destroyed it, and I was distraught because it was how I got around town, right? I was that. But I would not say that I grew up a cyclist. There was no mountain biking in my area. I didn't know a single person that did mountain biking. I didn't know any road racers. I definitely, a BMX bike, I had seen it, and I probably owned one or two, but it was not like there was no BMX scene. The biking scene for me when I was a kid was just getting out of the house. That was pretty much the scene, right? So it wasn't until much later in my life that bikes come back, and we'll talk about that in here. So my story has to begin with music. And there's really, if you kind of take a look, again, I've done a bunch of things, but there are there's sort of like early, middle, and later stages of my music journey. I played saxophone since I was 12, played the clarinet, I picked up the flute, played guitar, did all that type of stuff. And when I was in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Who knows what they want to do when they're 17, right? But I knew that I played music pretty well. I knew that was kind of a thing that I could do. So I decided that just because I didn't know what other jobs there were, that I was going to be a band director. That's what I was going to do. I was going to totally be a band director in school. And so I went to Wright State. I auditioned at a bunch of different colleges, got into a bunch of them. But Wright State, I was able to actually go there for free just on a music scholarship. And then I grew up kind of lower middle class. So in addition to my music scholarship, I got some scholarships for that as well. So I was actually able to go to Wright State and not pay for college, and I got money on top of that to pay for everything. So for me, it was a great deal, right? I didn't have to take out any loans for college. I got to play and do a bunch of stuff. So I got my bachelor's at Wright State. I graduated in 2000. I graduated high school in 1996. This is giving away my age on this or whatever. But while I was at Wright State, I really got to meet a bunch of great people. And again, I'm going to bring this around to the bikes and the people that I meet in the bike world. But the music world was filled with all kinds of different personalities. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you come from, or anything. We all are working towards this goal, whether it's a performance or whatever. Everybody's putting their little part in to make whatever they're doing better, right? And every day we're working hard to do something. So I loved that. I love the working on the music, that just making it better every day. I love all that type of stuff. So after I got my bachelor's degree, there was an opportunity for me to get my master's. And Wright State at the time, I have no idea what they do now, but at the time if anybody's gone to upper level college, you can be a graduate assistant. I don't know if you guys have ever done that or known somebody. Basically, you do whatever the teachers want you to do. You grade all the papers, you do all the work for the professors, but you in turn get paid, you get those type of things. That's fine. But Wright State had one position, and I forget what they called it, where I didn't have to do any of the graduate work. All I had to do was show up and play in their ensembles, and I got to travel around the country, record CDs, and recruit for their saxophone department. So I had to audition, I had to beat a bunch of people out, but that's what I did. The whole time I'm in Wright State, I'm performing a bunch, I'm in all these top ensembles, I'm also playing guitar, I'm meeting a bunch of people, we're doing a bunch of cool stuff. Later in life, I taught at a few different places, but I ended up later in life teaching at Beaver Creek City Schools. I'd worked at a whole bunch of places teaching before that. We would send kids to these honor bands. Beaver Creek, in my opinion, was kind of the pinnacle of the world I was in. It was the people who were doing what we were doing better than everyone. And so whenever we would go, I would say, I would tell my kids, pay attention to how do they walk around the hallway? What do their kids do? Why are their kids performing at such a high level on every single thing? So I would talk to them all the time, and I would pay attention to that too. And the whole time I would say, there's no way that I will ever work in a place like this, right? It's too good. It's too good. Well, I ended up working there. Beaver Creek was the first job that I'd ever worked at where every single person on our team was counting on you to do the best you could do. And not only the best you can do, but better than anyone else was doing. And I love that type of pressure. I don't like being at a job where I'm only expected to be 70% as good as I could be. Because then what does everybody do? They're only 70% at best, right? So for me, the band program at Beaver Creek was amazing because every day we got to work and do really cool stuff. Beaver Creek, by the way, does anybody know anything about Beaver Creek? Why this would be important? So let me just throw out some rough numbers. Roughly 1,100 kids in band. So we're not talking 100 kids in band. 1,100 kids in band. When I left, I had 6 classes, my six different bands to teach every day. My smallest was 67 kids. So that's the number of kids that are, when I talk about the band program, the pandemic, I'm sure messed it all up, but at the time, I think we were in year 28 or 30 of going to state, the state marching band competition, the highest level, and achieving the highest rating that you can possibly do. To my knowledge, we were the longest running streak of that in the state of Ohio. So when I'm talking about people performing at a high level, not just the kids, but the band directors, that's what I'm talking about. So I was in charge of a jazz band early on in my career at Beaver Creek, and I remember we had a performance, and in my mind, you get that little voice, have you guys ever had that voice that said, that was pretty good, yeah, we could have done better, and next time we'll get them. That type of thing. And one of the other band directors came up and they said, that was okay. But if you want to put a band out from Beaver Creek and put it in a public performance and do this, it can't be that bad. It has to be like whatever you think is good enough is like level 2, and we need it at 10. And I love that. I did not take that as Mike, you're the worst person in the world, you should just quit this. That's not how I took that. I said, finally, somebody is going, no, Mike, you have the ability to do this at a very high level, and we need you to do that. So that's what I took away from Beaver Creek, and that's still today what I like to do. We'll talk about that when we talk about the bike park and stuff. Just my own personal philosophy of going to work. I would rather not go to work than to show up to work and sort of do things halfway. I'm just kind of that guy. And then this is my newest thing. I don't teach full-time there or anything, but the International College of Broadcasting, it's almost like a trade college, but it's specifically for people who want to get into the recording industry. They want to be like producers or engineers. They want to get into videography like this. You want to run a camera the whole time. That's what that school teaches. And so I get to work with adults now, and they're somewhere between 18, 19, and I think the oldest person I have in class, he's probably in his 60s in there, people that want to do that type of stuff. But I get to work with them, and it's very interesting, not only working them one-on-one, just technically what we're doing, but that philosophy of everything we're going to do to the absolute best that we can possibly do every single day. And it's great for me to continue that on, even in that type of education, to just I don't know, I guess excite people and get them excited about doing the best they can. So why is all this important? Because this has nothing to do with bikes, right? It absolutely has nothing to do with bikes. But this, when you want to know who Mike is, who that foundation is, what is important to me, these things to me are what sort of molded who I am. I am the guy that really, I'm super nice. I don't think there's any reason to not be nice or anything, but I also want things done absolutely to the best of your abilities. I want to surround myself with people who are incredible at what they do. I love when I am the least smart person in the room, when I have the least amount of skill in any room. That's when I thrive. I go, great, I'm going to learn everything from everyone in this room. I'm going to take it all. I'm just going to soak it up like a sponge, right? So that's Mike. Now, that brings me to this. How did Mike get into cycling? It had nothing to do with Ohio. Nothing at all to do with Ohio. This is the funniest story. That says Oahu, not Ohio. So Oahu is where I really started my cycling journey. Where's Oahu located? Hawaii, right? When I was teaching, I was working at a job. Have you guys ever worked at a job that you didn't want to work at anymore? Has anybody ever done that? You're working somewhere and you go, this is really not for me. It's not for me. Well, I was working at a job that I didn't want to work at anymore. And I was presented with a decision. I either had to sign a contract to work, I think it was 3 more years, 5 more years, something like that, or I had to leave, right? It was kind of that. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave. I thought about moving to Austin because I played music, right? I thought about doing that. Or I thought about moving to Hawaii because I had one friend that lived in Hawaii and always talked about it. It was always great. And I thought, you know, I think I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm just going to check it out. So I get a hold of my friend. He's like, yep, absolutely. I don't have a bed for you, but I do have a floor, and you're welcome to come and sleep on that if you want. And I've at least got a house you can stay in, right? So I moved to Oahu. Crazy, right? I just up and moved. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. I knew I was going to Hawaii, so I saved up for probably about 6 months or so just to go there with something, but I didn't have any real job. I didn't have any real thing. So I show up to Hawaii, and this is 100% the truth. So I show up first day. I was like, the plane flight is long, right? You get there, I'm hungry. So we go get some food, and I'm going, well, I think we lived on 9th Avenue on Diamond Head. If you've ever been to Hawaii, Diamond Head is an old volcano. So it's pretty much, think about you're living on the side of a mountain, a small mountain, right? And the whole time I'm going, this is kind of a steep mountain. How am I going to get around? I don't have a car. Like, how am I going to get around? So that's night number 1. So day number 1, the next day, I said, let me go and hang out at the beach. Everybody's got work to do. It's my first experience. And they say, all right, you're going to want a bike to get around. And in my brain, I'm thinking, there's no possible way that a human being can ride a bike on these mountains, right? In my head, again, I'm not a cyclist, right? I'm going, there's no way. So my buddy, the one guy I knew, he gives me his department store bike, and he's like, take this, borrow it, go check out the, Waikiki Beach, all that, go check it all out, but you got to do me a giant favor. I was like, okay, what do you want? He said, no, this is like crucial. He said, bike theft is huge. You cannot get my bike stolen. This is like how we get around, right? Can't get my bike stolen. Here's a lock. Here's how to use it. No matter what you do, if you think it's safe, it's not. Like, make sure it's locked, right? So I promise him, all right, I'm not going to get your bike stolen. Not getting your bike stolen. So I go down to Waikiki Beach. I'm checking it out. In case you didn't know, Hawaii is sunny, and I'm from Ohio, so I don't have a giant tan. I'm not used to all of this. So, I lock his bike up. I find a nice, safe spot. I make note of where I'm at so I can get back to it. It was kind of close to the police station. They've got a police station right down there on the beach. So I'm like, all right, I can do this. So I hang out for 4 or 5 hours, and I'm cooked, literally. Like, the sun has cooked me. I need to go home. So I show up, and this bike that I was I had to lock it up or whatever. I get there, and it's still locked up, but there's another bike who has locked their bike, to my bike. So someone else has taken their U-lock and locked it completely through their bike and my bike. And so, what do I do? What am I going to do? Again, I'm not a cyclist, so I would have all kinds of funny things to say or whatever. So, but at that point, I'm freaking out. So first thing is I go to the police station, and they're like, I can't believe this guy from Ohio, right? They're like, whatever. You're just going to have to wait until it is unlocked. And so I did. I had to hang out for like 2 or 3 hours more until it was finally unlocked. And then I had to try to ride home. And of course, I can't ride home because it's straight up a hill. And I'm walking it. And I'm going, there's no possible way that I can ride a bike. That was day one. By like day 30, I was riding a bike up all those hills. Because there's the only way to get to work, to anything I was doing was at the bottom of the hill. And where I lived was at the top of the hill. Probably a quarter mile, 3/4 of a mile, maybe at max up the side of this mountain. So I know I'm not the skinniest person in the world, but I can absolutely climb a hill on a road bike or a mountain bike these days, only because all my time in Hawaii was spent with that. I showed up with not a ton of money. Again, I was a teacher before this, but some money. So I didn't really have a job. So I just sort of hung out, right? I've never done that before. It's like, let me just hang out, experience Hawaii. Well, after a couple months, I'm now broke, right? All the money that I'd saved, it's gone. Hawaii's expensive or whatever. And I knew I needed to get a job once I started selling stuff that I had literally shipped to Hawaii. I was like, all right, this is dumb. I'm selling stuff I shipped here. So I decided to get a job, and the first job that I got was with one of our neighbors, and he painted houses. By the way, I'm not a house painter. I have no experience in that, but whatever, he's a house painter. But he was also a mountain biker. This is going to come in. He's a mountain biker. Everyone in my house rode a bike. You know, some of them a little more, you know, definitely hardcore bike riders. Some of them were not at all, but everybody kind of rode a bike. But this guy was a mountain biker. So I hung out, I painted houses with him for, I don't know, maybe a month or so, something like that. And then he didn't have as much work for me. So I was like, I have to get a job. I have to get a job. I had some experience in sales before. And so I went to the only place that I had been to a whole bunch with my friends, which was the local bike shop. I went in there and I was like, hey, I don't know anything about anything in this shop other than I know that I can sell it. I know that I have the skill set to learn it and to sell it. And they took a chance on me and hired me as just a salesperson. Now you got to imagine in Hawaii, I'm walking into the shop. Every person that works there is a chiseled sculpture of the human body, right? They're all, one guy, Kurt Chambers, is an awesome photographer. I don't know that I ever saw him wear a shirt. Like literally he was the guy with no shirt on all day. That's just what everybody would come in. Where's the guy with no shirt? That's like how he was known, right? Hilarious. So it's Hawaii. And again, I don't know anything about anything, but I know that I can sell stuff. So I start to notice the customers that are coming in. Most of the people that were in the shop, were the salespeople were really catering to the high-end customer. If you want to buy a $3,000 bike, $4,000 bike, and that's $4,000, what, 17 years ago, something like that, so a little bit more. That's great, but I was the guy that was welcoming anyone in. I don't care who you are, doesn't matter to me at all, and I really, to this day, I don't care. Wherever you're at in your biking journey, I want to help you out. So here I am, I'm selling tubes, I'm doing this, and that job, there was a bonus system at the end of the month. If we reached a certain number, you got a bonus. If we reached an even higher number, the bonus was higher, right? And then there was this mythical third tier of bonuses up there. And it was like no one had ever, it was just, I think, on the paper because why? Why not, right? Just have a goal. I think the owner was like, no one will reach it. We'll just put it up there. We'll try to sell. Well, month one, not only was I the top salesperson, but I reached that goal. So the shop was all the way into that third tier, month one. So the owner kind of pulls me aside and he's like, look, I know I hired you and I know that you're doing a great job. I literally cannot pay everyone this bonus. Because what it was, if we reached a certain bonus or a certain dollar amount, everyone got a bonus because we're all working together, right? So he was like, look, I cannot afford to pay everybody this giant bonus every month. And month one, you're doing it. So I have a feeling you're going to do it often. So I ended up very quickly, within a month or so of me starting that job, I now managed that shop. So I was completely managing it. I was in charge of all of the employees that were there. And then I got into the actual promotions of the shop. So that in Hawaii, it's a very, very tight-knit community. So it's not the easiest thing to do. But now I'm on radio. I'm literally in magazines with me riding a bike. You'll see that actually up that top left corner. That is from a bike magazine that was published in Hawaii. Me riding a mountain bike. I'm all decked out, wearing my Team Jet apparel. It's a guy named Chet the Jet. He's awesome. If you don't know Chet the Jet, you should look him up. He's like an ultra guy. He's amazing. So I was doing bike coaching. I was doing everything. And this is where my love of bikes came from. So this, if anybody is ever annoyed at Mike being a bike guy, it's all Hawaii's fault. So just take a look at those pictures. How could you not love it? So the ones on the bottom middle, that is on the north shore of Oahu. There's the north and the western sides of it. You can only take a road for so far, then there's no more roads. You have to get out and ride it to go to that point. It's a point called Kaiana Point. It's where legend is it's where the souls of the dead jump off into the ocean. It's super great. It's amazing to be out there. That's a picture from that area. So my biking experience was not BMX racing when I grew up. It was not road bike racing. It was not any of that. It was me being like 30 years old going, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it's the coolest people I've ever seen. Everybody, all walks of life. I literally could ride a bike, and I'm not even joking. I can picture them. We can talk about them. I'm riding bikes with people that their job was they would walk around and pick up cans and go to the recycling center and get like $5 for that day. And that was all the money they had in the world. We're talking nearly homeless, right? And in the same thing, I'm riding bikes with people later that night. We're going to go to a party and everybody's hanging out over there and we're going to check out their Ferrari and we're doing like literally that wide span. And it reminded me so much of the music crowd because that's the music crowd. So many people play music and it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter where they came from. It doesn't matter anything. So for me, the bike world and the music world all have the same type of personality in the people that do it. Now, you get people that, we all hang out with people we really like. We hang out with people we go, maybe I don't want to hang out with them. We all get a little bit of that. But I'm telling you, 90% of the music crowd and the bike crowd are all people you'd want to hang out with. It's rare that you run into somebody and you go, I just don't want to hang out with them. Super awesome. So I've been all over the place. On the bottom left, that's Moab. If you've ever been there, you should go ride there. Middle top picture, that's in Arizona. So we went and camped outside of Phoenix, just riding a bunch of bikes. So me as a bike rider, I'm that guy that just likes being in the woods. I'm not going to jump a big 30-foot gap. You're not going to see me on like X Games, extreme stuff. But I am the guy that's going to be able to ride with you all day, and I'm going to have a great time, and we're going to see a bunch of neat stuff the whole time, right? So Hawaii is the reason that I love bikes, right? And Hawaii has many good things. One of them is that the weather is good the whole time, right? No matter what you do, the weather's good. If you want to plan, let's do a bike ride, and let's do it 3 Thursdays from now, we can go ahead and plan it. Like there's no chance the weather is going to get in the way of that plan. Ohio is the opposite. I cannot plan for what I'm doing an hour from now. It literally might rain. I hear it's supposed to snow this weekend. Who knows, right? Who knows? It's 70 degrees on Monday, snow. That is literally Ohio, right? Oahu, not Ohio, right? Two different things. So this is going to come into play very, very quickly. So it's the reason I think deep down that Mike's Bike Park happened. So this is why you guys are here. This is who is Mike for tonight. Mike is a great number of things, but probably the thing that this group would know me as is the guy that owns Mike's Bike Park. And everybody always asks, what made me want to start Mike's Bike Park? I don't know, that's like probably the biggest question ever. And really the reason that I wanted to start Mike's Bike Park is I hate the Ohio weather. And when I came back from Hawaii, literally like day one, I had more money in bikes than I had in cars, right? I had this love of getting up every single day and riding a bike. Every day, ride a bike. And we get to Ohio and it's like, well, it's going to be dry maybe in a week. Maybe the rain will stop in a week. And then you need 3 more days for the mountain bike trails to dry out so that you're allowed to actually ride them. Hopefully it won't rain in the meantime, right? You might get chastised. You might get chased out. Who knows? But you cannot ride in the wet. We do have the paved trail system, which is great. But I don't know if you've ever ridden on the paved trail when it can be very slippery. It can be very dangerous. I like to go fast. I don't mind riding on the road, so it's a little bit dangerous for me to ride. So I got back and I knew what it was, right? I'd grown up in Ohio. I knew what was going on. But I got back and I was like, you know what? All right, I'm doing this teaching thing. And at this time, this is when I sort of started working at Beaver Creek. And the whole time I was like, I am very fond of this job. This job is awesome. But if ever I'm not going to work here, if ever I think that this is not the job for me, I just want to build a place to ride inside. And so I was like, you know what? I can't be the only person that has thought this, right? I just can't be the only person that's thought this. So I started looking around and I was like, oh, wait, there is another indoor place in Ohio. It's called Ray's. Anybody heard about Ray's mountain bike? I know the people in the back. Ray's is like the first one that I know of. Maybe the first one, Jared, I don't know, is that right? The first one ever? That's what I think, the first actual indoor bike park. It's in Cleveland. It's amazing. You should all go there. Absolutely, you should go there. So I started riding there, and then I was like, wait, this is something people actually do, right? So in my head, I started thinking about it. I was like, well, their facility is absolutely enormous. So I don't know that, again, I'm a teacher. I don't have a ton of money. So maybe that's not going to be the thing. Maybe whatever, this and that. So fast forward about 9 years. I'd worked at Beaver Creek for about 9 years. And I definitely was going to leave that job. And I said, you know what? Now's the time. Now's the time that I'm going to make this thing. And why am I going to make it? Because everybody that I ride with says the same thing that I say, that we have all these great bikes, but we can only use them. I mean, realistically, having a nice mountain bike is like having a convertible in Ohio. You can only really use it about 3.5 months out of the year. The whole rest of the time, you are going to be either freezing cold in it, you're going to get rained on in it, you're going to whatever. We're not really using it the way it was intended. So I said, let's think about doing this. Let's see what it takes. And holy moly, that is like an entire series of presentations to talk to you about everything it took to actually make Mike's Bike Park a reality. But here's what I can tell you is that if you put your mind to something and you want to do it, you can do it. Right? The whole way when I was doing Mike's Bike Park, the number of times I heard, you'll never do that. It'll never happen. This won't, you can't do that. This, I don't know, 1,000 times in that. And every time I just thought, I know what point A is, I'm here. I know what point B is. There's a mountain in front of us. How do I get around it? How do I get through it? How do I get over it? There has to be a way to get from here to make Mike's Bike Park. So, before we go too far into it, my first question is there anybody who's heard of Mike's Bike Park that's here? Because good, awesome. There's some people that haven't heard about Mike's Bike Park. I love that. Because what I like to do is whatever you think Mike's Bike Park is, I want to challenge that thought today and sort of give you a different idea on it. So Mike's Bike Park, in short, we're going to show you some pictures of what we do for those of you that don't know what's going on. And those of you that do know, maybe you don't know what we're doing. We've won the Best Bike Shop the last 3 years in a row, Best Bike Shop in Dayton Award the last 3 years in a row. Why does a bike shop have to do with, what in the world does it have to do with a bike park? We're going to talk about that. And then if you want to check us out, mikesbikepark.com is the best way to kind of learn about what it is. But what is Mike's Bike Park? There's a whole bunch of pictures there. I subscribe to the philosophy that it doesn't matter what you think it is, it's what you're doing. So for us, we are a bike park. I bought a 70,000 square foot warehouse, multiple floors. We have 2 floors of it emptied out, and we've built ramps and obstacles to ride on. We are open to all ages. I mean, literally 2- and 3-year-old kids ride there all the time, and we literally have people in their 60s riding there all the time. Everything in between. A lot of times people will think it's only for teenagers. Nope, it's really for everybody. When I first built it, I reached out to a whole bunch of people, especially in the mountain bike community. That's my favorite thing is mountain biking. I like bikes, but my favorite thing is mountain biking. And took a whole bunch of input from them. And one of the floors we kind of built out, version 1.0 had a whole bunch of things in it that I was told the mountain bikers wanted. And then when we opened, most of those mountain bikers said, that's awesome, but we're just going to go ride outside instead. We're not going to do that. So anybody that's been around me for a while, and you go, why did you change 80% of the park 2 years in? It's because the people that were coming in who were actually doing, going to our business said, I want this in here. So we built it up. And now I think it's amazing, as it should be the best version. But you can ride a mountain bike there, you can ride a BMX bike, you can ride a dirt jumper. A dirt jumper is like a cross between a mountain bike and a BMX bike. It's a single speed 26-inch wheel bike. I do have some people that will come in. Sometimes we'll get cyclocross people training. They want to get some obstacle training on there. We obviously have a bunch of kids riding there. I would say a road bike is not appropriate for what we're doing because it's not like a velodrome. It's not like that. There are a whole bunch of different things you can ride. Everything's directional. So you go in one direction and maybe you pick the easy line your first time through, and the next time you pick a little harder line. The other day I had somebody ask me, they said, well, we started off at this easy section you took us to. If that's level 1, which one is level 2? And I said, well, it really depends on your skill level, right? Like what is the next most difficult thing to use is different than me. So there's all kinds of stuff to do there. Everything's rollable. We make it super safe, so you don't have to jump anything. You can just simply come in and ride over things. We get a ton of people that come in, and one of my favorite things is that I get to sort of carry on that education background that I have in this environment. So people come in, and we've been open, we're in year 7, so we have a ton of people that started young, and now you see them and they are really good riders because they've been coming to us, they've been practicing a whole bunch. I see a bunch of adults that were like 5 years ago going, look, I've been sitting on the couch for the last decade. I am completely overweight, I'm out of shape, I don't have anything fun to do. And they started coming to Mike's Bike Park and riding, and they're like, this is awesome. Like not only is it just fun to ride, but I can hang out with other people, we're having a good time, we're doing amazing stuff. So the Mike's Bike Park pictures, I tried to put a bunch of them up here. I know maybe it's a little hard to see where you're coming from, but there are, I mean, like kids riding, bottom left, little kid in there. Very, very cool stuff. Top left is the Miami Valley Mountain Bike Association. We're going to talk about bike kids, so that's kind of cool. On the right-hand side, not totally to the top, that's some of our summer camps. So we do summer camps there. In the winter, we do a lot of how do you ride a bike park coaching. You know, we have this facility, and people want to use it, but they don't always know how to use it. So we like to provide some opportunities so people can learn how to use the bike park. And that's just the riding part. We're open to bikes, we're open to scooters, we're open to skateboards, pretty much anything as long as it doesn't have a motor. Now that initially, people had questions about that. How are you gonna deal? Are the bikers and the skaters gonna have some, Royal Rumble in there? I don't know what everybody was afraid of. It's not like that at all. It's a very cohesive, everybody is friendly with everybody. We have a very big set of rules, and basically it comes down to one thing: just be nice. That's it. We don't put up with anything like that. Our place is a safe space where everybody can come in and ride. Doesn't matter how good you are. And I think that a lot of times people are blown away when they come in and they don't, have that skill set to ride our park. That they are newbies to it, and they come in and go, the whole night, I was surrounded with people just helping me the whole time, going, yeah, that's super cool. Why don't you try this? Let me show you how to do this. That's the environment that we have at Mike's Bike Park all the time. So number one, if you know anything about us, or if in your head you're going, it's a bike park, think of like a skate park, but for bikes, sort of, except for it's not the Wild West. It's very friendly. It's very inclusive to everyone, and it's everything except for things that have a motor. So you're going to see some skateboards in there. You're going to see some scooters, and that is all good. That is all good. We just call that action sports. I don't care what you ride. I just want you to come in and have a good time and ride, right? Come hang out with your friends, enjoy it, do some good stuff. That's what that's about. Now, we've won Best Bike Shop the last 3 years, but none of these pictures are really of a bike shop. I guess a couple of them are. We also have an incredible bicycle shop. And I really do want to talk about that, because a lot of times people, and it's probably all my fault. I own the place. Everything's my fault, right? But it's all my fault. We put Mike's Bike Park as the name. The bike park only accounts for probably about 25 or 30% of our business. The rest of that business is our bike shop. So we service bikes. We sell bikes. I don't know of anyone in the area that does more BMX, dirt jumper style stuff because of the park. Right? So if you have any interest in that type of bike, you're going to be able to come to our shop and have like 10 times the inventory to pick through to check out than any other shop. But we also do road bikes. We also do gravel bikes. We do fat bikes. We do commuter bikes. We sell a lot of bikes, and we service a ton of bikes. Currently we have 6 mechanics on staff, so we can turn those repairs around really fast. We also, because of the bike park, we are open 7 days a week. We are also open really long hours. So our short day is 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. So if you are out riding and you get a flat at 8 p.m., you need somebody to come in and get it fixed, you can just run down and come to us. We'll get it fixed for you, right? And I love that. I love being the shop that anybody can come to. There's no, have you guys ever been into a shop and felt like you weren't welcome at all? Felt like it was maybe, I know the first time I went, literally when I walked into the shop day one to work in Hawaii, I didn't know how to work a Presta valve. You guys remember back when, I don't know if you ever press the valve, you got to figure out how to do it. I had no idea how to work it, and no one that worked there would show me. They were like, nope, where you're kind of like down here. We aren't that. If you don't know how to work a press valve, I'll get a bike out. Let's go through it together. Let me show you how to do it. We are the people that really are accepting of absolutely everyone. So Mike's Bike Park, you got to come in and see it. If you've not seen it, the other thing is every time you walk, however big you think it is, it's bigger. When you walk in, you're going to go, whoa, this is humongous, right? So that's Mike's Bike Park. Now, Mike's Bike Park is the center of everything that I do. It allows me to do a bunch of stuff. We have this giant building, so we get to do a lot of cool stuff. We're going to talk about some of the other cool stuff I do as well. But we've been in business for about 5 years, and then the city of Huber Heights decided they were going to put $1 million into a new skate park, bike park type area. It's called Moneta Field over there. And it was brought to my attention that there was a bike shop in Huber Heights about 1,000 feet from this new $1 million facility, and that owner had been there for a long time, probably nearly 30 years. Maybe they were looking to get out of the bike world, so I got in contact with the owner of Huber Heights Cycling and Fitness, a guy named Joe. He's awesome. And I said, hey, the city's putting in this thing down the road. Is there any chance you would let me take over this shop? Because it really is what we do. We not only do we cater to the normal bike path type people, but we also cater to the skaters, the BMXers, all the people are going to use that. And we got it all worked out. He's super awesome. He's vacationing in Florida a whole bunch. I see him like twice a year. It's great. It's awesome. And we took over that spot. So that spot a long time ago was a Kettering bike shop. And then it was Huber Heights Cycling and Fitness. So I think the number was, when I took it over, that it had been a bike shop for 27 years before we took it over. So we're just continuing that legacy up there. But same thing, we do all the repairs, we do, I mean, everything. We sell bikes, all that. We do group rides, we do a lot of clinics out of there. That's only a shop. It's only a shop. So we get to do a lot of little more hands-on stuff than the bike park. So if you take a look, this is us doing group rides in Huber. This is kind of the shop, just so you can kind of see it. All of this is going on. All my friends are going, hey, there's no music stores anywhere. So if you're a musician and you want to buy a pack of strings for this guitar, and you're going to go to a music store, did you guys know that you're either going to have to drive all the way to Centerville or all the way to Troy? Between Centerville and Troy, there is no music store. None. So I was like, you know what? I have 2 businesses already set up. I don't have to pay rent on anything else. Let's just sell music gear there as well. So we opened Rock Local. So it's our music store. So we now have a shop in Dayton and in Huber Heights. So if you need strings, if you need reeds, you can come down and pick it up, drumsticks, anything like that. We also do guitar setups and restrings and stuff like that. But the coolest thing that I've been able to do in the last couple years, and I know this is a little bit self-serving because I love helping people out, but all of these people are coming in to ride Mike's Bike Park, and they're from all walks of life. We kept seeing these kids come in who, when I tell you that the bike is their life, I don't mean that they ride the bike every once in a while. I mean they eat, sleep, breathe the bike, because the bike is the only thing in their life that has ever given them any positive feedback. There's a bunch of kids that show up at our bike park that have not eaten in a long time. This whole thing started, there was a group of kids riding, one of their girlfriends who was like 14 or 15, tiny girl, like tiny, and was riding, and it was January, it had to be like 10 degrees outside, and was wearing like what you would almost wear to the beach. Nearly nothing, right? So I said, where are your clothes at? I don't have any clothes. This literally is my outfit. And so I said, oh, come on downstairs. We have this whole lost and found area where people, we get a lot of coats, we get a lot of things just left. I was like, you can have anything you want from this. So she rifles through, she picks like a shirt and goes to walk away. And I was like, not gonna take anything else? Well, you told me I could get anything. And I was like, no, you can take as much as you want. So she got like a stack of stuff. That led me to go, why don't we, instead of me just bringing kids down and helping them out with a shirt every once in a while, let's actually make a nonprofit that actually helps kids. I'm on the board, I'm a consultant for a whole bunch of different nonprofits, and they're all great, they're all doing really good stuff, but a lot of times we wonder how we're actually reaching the community, what we're doing. So I didn't want that. I wanted a nonprofit that literally, I can tell you what these kids do, right? So we created We Are Bike Kids. So we just call it Bike Kids, but We Are Bike Kids. This is an amazing mentor program, and of anything tonight that you leave, if you remember, obviously, hopefully remember Mike's Bike Park, but definitely remember Bike Kids. This is the thing that I hope you go home and you go, you know what, I think I can help. I think there's something I can help. Number one, we have weekly meetings with them. On Thursday nights, I'm actually missing our meeting tonight to be here, where we have an official mentor meeting. We talk about something that is important to them being better people. And when I say it's everything from a hygiene lesson, because nobody's ever told them anything, to how to behave yourself at a recital hall. We've gone to see musical performances before. We go, we've got to behave. Nobody's ever asked you to be accountable in a seat in an auditorium before, but we're going to ask that. And we're going to tell you how to do that, right? We take them out. We provide dinner on Thursday nights for them. Sometimes we order pizza or whatever. Sometimes we have people come in and actually cook for us, and then those people hang out, and they get to hang out with the kids and stuff. We also go on group rides. We do a bunch of outreach. We actually use those kids. If you came to the Subaru Outdoor Experience this past year, we sort of run the pump track that's out there. The people running that pump track were all the bike kids. So we put them out in the public, having them work with people. I got so many compliments from people going, where did you find these kids? These are like the most well-behaved kids. They are now, right? But when we met them, nope. We've had to have more than one conversation about how you cannot get your weekly food from stealing from gas stations. This is not what we do. So I think the impact we've had on these kids is amazing. Do we have 100 kids in the program? No. We've got like 8 to 10 right now, but it's 8 to 10 people that we see all of their grades. We monitor their grades. They have certain stipulations. If they get an F, they can't ride at the bike park for a week. They have an opportunity to bring it back up. Whole bunch of other stuff goes in there. So we monitor their grades. We make sure they are not in any trouble with the law. That would be great, right? We don't want to do that. And we help them to just generally be better people all the time. So Bike Kids is my favorite thing that I've done in the last little while, because I love that it's directly helping. I help people have a great time all day long at Mike's Bike Park. I do. I help people get their bike fixed all the time at the shops. I do. I help people get music gear. That's great. But this is the fun thing. So here are the kids, just a handful of things. We do all kinds of stuff. We do all kinds of stuff with these kids. They have an amazing time. We get to show them. Think about it. These kids would have never even had an opportunity to go to a musical performance. One time we took them to the Spaghetti Warehouse, and it was the first time a bunch of them had ever been to a restaurant. They're 15, and they've never been to a restaurant before, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. And these kids are the nicest kids ever. We meet on Thursdays, but guess how many days that we actually see them? 7 days a week. They're at the park every day. Every day they're there. So when we are doing things, and if you ever see Bike Kids and I say, hey, it would be great if we had some donations for meals, you can help out. A lot of times people think about just that meal on Thursday. That's one good meal they get a week, right? But they could use every day, So if you're somebody or you know somebody that does that type of thing, definitely reach out to me. I want to promote the Bike Kids. So that is like my favorite thing, because I just love directly helping people. Now, this is also one of my favorite stickers. Why did I make this sticker? Because you all need to know who I am. Every single one of you at some point in your future is going to come across something that you go, you know what, it would be great if this. You know what, it would be awesome if this. I'm like the guy that people go to for awesome, for great. If you have a nonprofit and you need to host something, we have the facilities to do that. If you're putting on an event and you need somebody to come out and do your like bike safety checks, we do that. If you have somebody that just is looking for a great place to have their money help, we do that. We do a lot of things. If you sat there and thought about a cool thing and said, you know what, it'd be cool if Mike was involved, Mike's probably going to say yes. It's very rare that I ever say no. And normally I say, that's a great idea. What if we did this instead? That's normally what I say. So that's my name tag. You all need to know me because I'm kind of the guy that can put everything together and make it all happen on there. And we use the bike park, obviously, because it's the biggest building. It's the biggest name that I have, but we have our hands in so many things. It's insane. So I'm here to help that community at all times in there. So I really am, the business guy. I really am the bike park guy. I promise I do ride bikes. I ride a lot of bikes. I wish I could ride more bikes, but I'm a busy guy, right? So I can't ride bikes all day. It's not Hawaii anymore. But I'm the guy that can maybe help something in your world. Even if it's as simple as fixing a bike, great, I can do that. And I love doing that. Maybe it's not as simple as that. Maybe there's somebody, a kid that you know that could use a group to come and be a part of. I can also be that guy, right? I can also be that. So I put up here's the two main things to know. Mike'sBikePark.com will tell you pretty much everything we do, having fun at the bike park, doing all that type of thing. BikeKids.org is the nonprofit that we run. And between those two, if you send a message to either of those, it all goes through me. I see every message. So you can absolutely find me on those. So that's like the short end of what I do. And I always feel, if you gave me an hour to talk about what I do, I do 1,000 other things as well. But that is the bulk of what Mike from Mike's Bike Park does every day. For me, how many of you have never set foot in Mike's Bike Park? It's okay that you haven't. Cool. I want to challenge you to find a time to stop down there at some point. At some point in your world, you're going to be driving through downtown Dayton, and you're going to go, I remember that guy with the beard. I have something to do with cycling. I'm just going to stop in and see what it is. We are located at 1300 East 1st Street. It's a big, giant, 4-story brick building. The Huber location is 4782 Fishburg. So it's really close to, if you ride on the bike path there, there's like the Rip Rap Roadhouse is just down the road. I do bike rides from there, and it's that's a great trail to ride. So we're located right there, easy to get to, kind of right in between Weisenborn and Wayne High School. It's like any new experience. If you've ever done anything new in your life, and as we get older, we do less and less new stuff, right? That's just humans. That's how we get in this like pattern. But anytime you do anything new, I would just say, go into it with an open mind. Don't, if you pedal the bike 2 pedals and go, this is more difficult than riding on flat sidewalk. It is, but I wouldn't say it's more difficult. I would say it's more exciting, right? And once you spend 10 minutes riding, you go, oh, I get it. And I think that probably by like the 3rd time that you come and ride at the bike park, you're going to be able to ride most things. There's still going to be some things that are for upper level riders, and that's okay, right? We don't all have to, do crazy downhill mountain biking and stuff like that. We don't all have to ride 30 miles an hour on a road bike. But you're going to be able to ride most of the park and just roll through it. I like to pick a line. Anytime I'm leading a new group, I'll pick a line and just session that. And then as we're on that, go, okay, let's try this. Have you guys ever ridden a bike and not sat on the seat? That's uses a whole different set of muscles, right? If you're the type of person that's used to sitting on a seat and pedaling a bike, when you stand up and pedal a bike, that's a different set of muscles, and that set of muscles will do a world of good for you at the bike park. You'll be able to ride things better. So if you're, this is you and this is bike underneath, you want the bike to move under you, not you be connected to the bike. So standing up and riding is good for riding all over all of that. But yeah, definitely come on down, man. Yeah, the amount of work that it took in 5 months was pretty amazing. But then again, as soon as we opened, we pretty much turned right around and started rebuilding stuff. I would definitely suggest coming and checking out what we do, even if it's just following us on social media. Take a look at what we do. That helps. If you know anybody that can donate to the Bike Kids, absolutely do that. Check out our website. If you see us, come in and say hi. I promise you we do more than you think we do at all times. So I would say that whatever you think it is we're doing more than that. So come in and say hi. We love that. So I want to thank you guys for listening to me talk. I get to talk a lot, and I never mind sharing my story or anything. I'm a pretty open book, so if anybody ever has any questions, just let me know, and we'll get it going. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, thank you. Oh, yes. Very cool.